And now the recording is started, so good evening. Officially welcome out to the Market Watch Group Trading Foundation's working sessions. This is our beginner session where we insist that all concepts are entry level concepts, and then typically whatever we were talking about carries over where we expand on it into the second half. I really, feel like it works out great. If anyone ever disagrees and has an alternative suggestion, let me know. But that way people can leave if they don't want to hear the advanced. They can show up late if they only want to do the intermediate. Come to both if both are applicable. Hopefully that's the case. My name is Scott. I will be your host. We're gonna go for about 40 minutes, then we're gonna take a break for 5. Then we're gonna go for 40 more. Here's the disclaimers. As always, we're not brokers. We're not advisors. We don't give advice or recommendation. This is for education and illustrative purposes only. Let's go talk about things. As always, I'd like to start with what happened. We haven't talked for almost 2 trading days when you think about it, right? We talked for 45 minutes to start Monday and then nothing the rest of the day and then nothing today. So we've had 2 market days. Let's just talk a little bit about what's going on. I mean, you can see it. We got one more day and we said, hey, you know what? It could make another run and it didn't get all the way to the high, but it got very close to like this area here. Even today, touching that point. Such a lack of sellers. I mean, it's interesting because let's see if my drawing tool will work today. I did a restart. I did an update and a restart. Maybe it'll be more consistent now. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Okay. Son of a gun. It's not a good start. Not a good start. What is going on? We were looking. Oh, it's not working still. Let me go here to draw this. It's very strange for some reason. Tell me if anyone else has had this. But whenever, like the last few times when I logged in Thinkorswim and I pop out, I detach the chart so it has its own page. It's like it forces itself to the front. So it won't let me draw on it. I have to minimize it. I can draw on this. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm not sure what would cause that. So we looked at it right through here. And we said the problem with this was we had this price volume divergence. Price went up, volume's coming down. And we're like, yeah, that's tough. And then all of a sudden it just got this one pop and then it was just paused again. And you're like, there it is again. So, looking at this, no one's going to be like, well, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 out of 8 days went up. 1 went down, 1 went sideways. And we're like, yeah, now it's just going to keep going, right? Like it did. All you could do is hope you held on a little bit more. But even this is occurring on what? Up on price, down on volume. And now we're hitting like these all-time resistance levels. I get it. It's frustrating. If you're like, man, we've been saying we're waiting for a pullback that doesn't come. Yeah. Yes. I agree. It is what it is. Am I going to be like, you know what? The whole time I've been hesitating, so now that's it. I'm done. No, because I know that if I do, the market's going to do that. I will not be that catalyst. Someone else has to do it, not me. I've done it before, not this time. It's not my turn. I've spent my turn. Someone else. Also, no one from this group. That's not what we do. We wait. We show patience. We wait for this opportunity to come back down in here. There's our opportunity. And it could just be a flag. We could have some opportunities, right? I'm looking at Meta. We're going to go through. I'm looking at Meta. Meta's got an opportunity developing, but we're not going to force. We're not going to force right as we see the market bumping its head against resistance on literally 50% volume. Maybe 50, maybe 60. Let's go see. Average volume right now, 61. Current volume, 33. So, yeah, 60% best. 56. 56. Okay. All right. So, we got the doji. We have Jerome speaking on Friday. We now have 2 more days. And this is where, like I said, I'm ready, even if it just flags 1 day, 2 days, and then that next day it pops out. Then that's it. That's what we're going to be looking for right there. Flag pull up, flag pattern down, popping out of the flag. You're not, absolutely not, going to get a standard like, oh, the stochastics is going to pull back to the oversold below 30. That will not happen. If you wait for that, you will wait until you have an inability to trade. So we have to be ready for this. Could it drop a little further all the way back down towards the 50? Sure, it could. If it does, we just keep waiting and watching, and then we're ready. But we got to have that plan. And that plan can't be, I mean, if you look at what we just got a bigger move. It was the biggest move in like 2 years. Do we enter after the end of the biggest move because we're still feeling pangs of FOMO? Oh, did I miss it? Probably didn't miss anything. You probably didn't hold as much as you would have liked till the very end, but you probably made some money. The question was, did you make as much as you could? We all have to reflect individually in order to come up with that answer. I'm telling you right now, I'm holding myself accountable in a way that I'm saying, I should have done better. I could have done better. Traded a little bit more aggressively. Made money, just could have done better. Great. So, what's the takeaway? I'm not going to go change fundamentally things that I'm doing. I'm going to say, hey, you know what? Let's just kind of chalk this up to the experience bank. With the definition of experience being what you experience is what you get when you didn't get what you wanted. Just saw job numbers we have been told are inflated, so actually lower and could drive. What's the source? And is it just like, they always lower it? Or did they say, I've actually heard that they've lowered it? On DNC coverage, here's the deal. Anytime they do adjustments to prior jobs reports constantly, until we see it, I'm going to be just fine still. If there's some specific like news coverage that says, here's what they said, but here's what it actually is. But we're not going to see that until they give revisions. I would say be careful. Politically driven for sure. Yeah. I would say be careful about it. Feds confront Bloomberg. Feds confront up to 1 million, which is a conservative source, of course, in vanishing revisions. I don't know. I think it is what it is for the Fed. We're all seeing it the same way, which is it's not if, but how much in September. And we'll get a little insight on Friday from Jer Bear for sure. Jer Bear. Let me get my Fed watch. Who is it? CME? Yeah. CME. We're already 1 month away. And okay, so it's actually moved. It was 3-1 for a quarter point cut versus a half a point cut. Now it's only 2-1 for a quarter point versus half a point. So it's shifted slightly in favor of a half a point cut. Not for me. I'm still a quarter. I don't think there's any chance that Jer Bear is going to take it the other way. Okay, so let's go talk about. So we are waiting for that pullback. We have some things that are in a pullback. Let's start with some charts, and then we're gonna talk about. I do want to look at a trade. I do like working sessions to always have some mention of a trade setting up that we're thinking, hey, this is getting close. Today's, and you probably wouldn't be surprised based on conversations we've had on Friday and on Monday. Meta. I've got this kind of a cup and handle type setup here. And people will be like, is that a handle? It's a fancy Pinky and the Teacup handle. But yes, it's a handle. This is also if I just isolate this and then I change this to blue, this is a flag. Right? That's a flag. So I have two things developing. I need to wait to be convinced. This is not that helpful. I mean, when it turns, it'll probably turn like this, which, something like this. It's not going to go all the way back down. It's not going to come back down to here. You can see that we have higher highs, higher lows, even in the context of our stochastics, right? So yeah, this is definitely one that I'm looking for here. If we get a signal not that big, I wouldn't want it to be that big. We'll be looking for that. Yeah? Let's talk about charts. And I'm trying to, when I post the Tuesday, Thursday recordings, I'm trying to give a little description of like the core principle we spoke about during that session. Like, what do we do? So people can be like, oh, they did this and this. No, I'm not that interested. I'm going to skip to the advanced or to the intermediate. Hopefully you find that useful. Okay. Charts. So anytime you're using a chart service, I don't care what service it is, you want to get comfortable with the navigation of those charts. So let me get down here. So when it comes to navigating the charts, I've got a couple of different areas that I'm going to look at on these. And different charts will have them different places. They might have a left-hand panel or a right-hand panel. You can see this doesn't have panels. It does have the ability to add little like gadgets. I think these gadgets, none of them are that helpful, so I don't use any of them. I just like to have my charts. Everything I need is up here in the top right-hand corner. You can get rid of this panel? I'm sure you can. What do you, hide it? Hide the panel? I don't even know. It doesn't bother me because I'm not out there clicking, right? So it's fine. Maybe someone would want to add a dashboard or some news at the bottom or on the side. Right? Something like that. But no, for me, I'm just a chart guy. Next, I have the ability to zoom in and out down here at the bottom. I also have the ability to change what tool I'm using. This is for drawings. So I can get into drawings down here. I can zoom in. I can zoom out. These are things that I want to be comfortable with. I can also change my crosshairs. I like to have crosshairs so that I can see what day is it. If you notice down here, it gives me the day, and I can see what price is it. Some people might not like that, so you can have none, nothing at all. Or you can have just horizontal or just vertical or both. I like both. I want both. Perfect. Up at the top right, this is everything I need. Let's go through this list. If you're using different charts, you're just going to want to find your equivalent. First and foremost, you can see Edit Studies. What are studies? Studies are anything that gets applied to my chart or under my chart. So I can put studies on the chart, or I can create their own subpanel, and then I can even create indicators for subpanel indicators. What does that mean? Well, let's just talk about what I have first and foremost. So on my first panel is price action. What kind of price action do I have? Do I want candles? I have candles. Now, if I want to change that, I can do that right here under Style. Style lets me change the type. So if I come in here, I can go into, I can set up the time frames, although I can do that here as well. I can go into the settings, so I can do that here as well. Mostly what I'm doing is right here. You can also print or share, reset. You can save styles. But for the most part in this, I'm coming in here to change from candlesticks to Heikin Ashi. That's the main thing I do here. I switch the chart type. That's it. Style, back to candle. That's it. I can change my time frame here. What do I want to be able to do? I want to be able to have a 5-day, 5-minute. I want to be able to have a 20-day, 1 hour. I want a 3-month daily, a 6-month daily, a 1-year daily, a 3-year weekly. This just allows me to manipulate my perspectives very quickly and easily. Okay. Now, drawings. You can see that again, I can get to drawings. This way I have a little bit more. I can save a drawing set, create a drawing set. I can go to drawing tools, remove drawings, etc. I can also just come down here to set which one I want. Sometimes if I'm drawing, I might accidentally leave. Let's say I was drawing some fibs and I was done drawing them. Well, I can't zoom in or out because it still wants to draw now, right? Every time I click it, it wants to draw. So what do? I can come back down here and go back to the pointer. And now I can zoom and click and not have to worry about that. Can I review some drawing tools? Let's do it. Let's do it. I'll go from this menu here. Okay. The ones that I use, I have a tendency to use trend lines, price levels, time levels, and Fibonacci retracements. I will also sometimes use channels. If you want to point at something, so let's go through these real fast. I want to draw a line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the start and left click it once. Now, wherever I move, I can draw a straight line any way I want from that starting point. So if I wanted to draw this representation, then I'd come up here and then I'd click again and it locks it in. Right? That's just drawing. And now if I want to extend it, I can right click and I can extend the drawing to the right, or I can extend it to the left. I can right click it and I can remove it. Now I could also, let's say I wanted to draw a channel around that flag. So I could come in here and I would do the same thing. I would draw one line first, left click once, move away, left click a second time. When I left click a second time, it's going to immediately give me another option. Now you'll notice this this is exactly the same. And now I come in and say, I'm going to put this right here. That's what I think is most representative. Now that's a channel. Okay? That's my channel line. This is a time level. That's just a horizontal line. I can't draw this left and right. It's up and down. So if I want to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to give this trade 2 weeks. I'd say there's 2 weeks. Boom, there's my line. And that extends all the way down so I can see that timeline anywhere I am on the chart. Okay? Let's keep going. What else do we have in here? Text note. Text note is if I wanted to say, I think this is a bull flag, then I might go here and say, you'll notice I just left clicked once. I think this is a bull flag. And then I hit OK, and boom, there it is. Can I move that? Yeah, I can activate it, and I can move that flag, anything. So if you want to put notes and say, I think this is a breakout if we break above this high, I can point it right at the high and say that. Okay? Let's keep going. Let me know if you have any questions about these. I don't use a lot of these. This is just a pointer. Boom, I pointed. I pointed again. Point, 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 point. I can point at anything I want as many times as I want. Look, there's a dividend. Look, there's earnings. Look, there's April 19th. Okay. Does all of this stay with the current stock only? Yes, and it does stay there. So as I draw this, I'm going to have to clean this up. all my toys, I'm going to have to put them away. I want to circle this flag. I click, I draw away. There's my circle. It only hinges around that starting point that I gave it. So you have to kind of figure out what that looks like. And you can see it highlights it with a little spotlight. That is that's the, I think they call it an oval, not a circle, oval. I can do the same thing with the rectangle. I can start to build fun shapes. I mean, do I need to? No. But do I sometimes draw like a basing pattern where I'm like, hey, I want to map out the sideways action that I have here. Okay. What else do we have here? Channel, we did that already. Regression line. You know what? I have not played with a regression line. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what that does because I don't use it. And I don't really know. What I do play with regressions are Fibonacci retracements, not regression, retracement. Sorry, that's my fault. I misspoke. There. Now you'll notice, look at that. Look at that little flag pattern that just touched the 78 mark yesterday. That looks viable, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Look at all these fun charts I have drawn up here. Anything else important? Extensions. This actually gives you some extensions. See? There's extensions. So I don't play with the extensions either. Nope, I don't want to do that yet. And I don't use, they're like Fibonacci arcs and fans and time extensions, and these are all kinds of different Fibonacci things. I don't use those, you guys. I'm not gonna come and try to explain them to you. I don't use them. I don't think there's a point. Now I can come in here to my drawings. Now first things first, I'm gonna switch back to the pointer. And then I'm going to go back to my drawings. And I am going to remove old drawings from this all at once. I'm going to remove, nope, not old drawings. That's not what I wanted. I'm going to move. I thought it lets me get rid of them like all at once. Save, drawing set, all drawings. No, I don't want to remove old drawings. All right. I think I'm just going to have to come delete all these things that I drew. That's fine. It doesn't take long. I think I can actually... yeah, that's fine. Okay, any questions about any of those drawings? I hope you see when you... The thing about drawings, it's always a little clunky at first. It's like, oh, I zoomed when I didn't want to zoom, or I did this. That's expect that. Left click. You don't drag to draw on this platform. Some platforms you will click to drag, or drag, click and drag to draw. So sometimes you click and hold it and draw. Sometimes you click, let go and draw. It's just a matter of playing with it and figuring it out. So that's drawing. I'm glad we went through that. That was super helpful. Let's get rid of this one too. Remove. Patterns. I don't use them. But you can actually come in here and you can be like, I want to see... let's see if it sees a flag where we see a flag. Select patterns. Flag. Add. Bullish. 2 days. Apply. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I haven't played with these for a while. Clint says, nah, just add one. I agree. I really don't. If I'm going to see a price pattern, I'm going to draw it. That price pattern was like a revolutionary thing with this profit charts way back when. It was never, no one ever, I never saw anyone like effectively trade specifically from it. So yeah, I'm not going to go through that. Studies, this is important. Studies is how we add indicators, right? So when I add studies, typically you're going to see a list. This is the list of all the different indicators I have available to me, right? These are all the different indicators that I have available. How many do I use? You can see it. There is one missing. Gold star to anyone who can look at this chart. There's a silver star as well for like a close. Gold star for anyone who can look at this chart and tell me what's missing right off the bat. What's missing? Boom, Miguel, gold star. Beautiful. Implied volatility. I'm an options trader. Has to be there. It's not an afterthought. It's got to be there. Technically, because we're still in a certain area, I still have the 100 and the 200, right? But let's do this. Let's go into studies and remove all studies. Yes. Bam. That's the starting point right there. If I just came in for the first time, this is what I'm going to see. All I have is candlesticks and volume. Candlesticks and volume. Now, I could come in here and I could say, what else do I have available? I could do bar charts. You can see why I don't like them. They're not as visually appealing. They hurt your eyes. You got to like, what's going on? I can't see it. I think that's an inferior candle, personally. Line charts, I sometimes will put those on. I think that they're pretty illustrative. You can see if I look at this point versus this, where it is, and right. So I will sometimes do that. I don't do area or equivolume. Mainly I'm just candle and Heikin Ashi. So let's go back to candle. Okay, so now we want to set up our charts. What do I want? I do want a moving average. That's first and foremost. I want a moving average on my price. Now I'm going to put 3 on because right now I have 3. Typically I will go with just the 50. If we break the 50 to the downside, I add the 100 and the 200. You saw us do that recently. And you can see, hopefully you can see why, if you did the same thing, by how well it tends to play off of those other two moving averages once we break through the 50. Yeah? So those are the things. Then I want to have an oscillator. An oscillator. One oscillator. Not I want a stochastics and a MACD and an RSI and a CCI and an awesome oscillator and a blah, 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 right? Too often traders believe that the more information they have, the better the decision they're going to make. And that's false. We need just enough information to make the right decision. We don't need more and more and more, as if we keep adding it, it's going to keep making our accuracy go up. That's false. We all think it, but it's false. I need consistency. I need indicators that are representative of the style and the time frame that I'm trading off of, which is why for my oscillator, I've chosen a 7-3 slow stochastics. I like it. It works. What I tell people is, if you're ever like, people are like, well, why don't you use this? That's a hard question. I don't have a good, why don't I use something? Why don't I use all of these? Yeah? That's not the right question. Why don't you do this? I don't know. I don't have time to go flesh out why I don't use every one of thousands of indicators that exist. Let's just find the ones we have, and if we have a need, then we'll look to fill it. Difference between clutters up the chart, indeed, Michael, you're not wrong. Messy as can be. What's the difference between a candle and a Heikin Ashi candle? So that's a great question. Candlesticks, when I look at technical analysis, I start with what I consider price action. Price action. That is things that are not calculated. Indicators are calculated. A moving average is calculated. You add up 50 days, divide it by 50, that's the moving average. Then you do it again the next day. Add the next, drop off the last, and you do it ongoing, and it creates a line for a moving average. They're calculated, right? A candle is not calculated. It is drawn. What do I have? Open, high, low, close. There's no calculation. It's just drawn. I draw from, right? That's it. A Heikin Ashi candle is calculated. It's using the principle of averaging. So it uses the average of the previous body to start the next body. And it uses the average of the close of the day to print the close of the day. It doesn't actually show you the current price at any given time. It shows you some calculated derivative of it. By using the concept of averaging, what it's doing is it's bringing stability to the chart. It stabilizes the indicator, and that's on purpose. You don't find gaps when you look at Heikin Ashi candles. Great question. I hope that makes sense. The priority is the standard candle. I have to see standard price action first. Then I move to Heikin Ashi. I never look at only one or the other. Right? I have to see both to have context for them. So that's the candlestick. Now, let's get those indicators on here, and then we'll take a quick break here. So what am I doing here? It's trading plan market posture. I'm not sure I understand the question, Lee. Give me more context, please. The first thing we're going to do is on the chart itself, I want exponential moving average. Someone asked this question the other day. They said, why simple versus exponential? Simple is just that. You add it up, you divide it by 50. Exponential and weighted moving averages both work to try to give a little bit more emphasis to the more recent time so that it's a little bit more responsive. That's an attractive quality to me. Therefore, I select to have that exponential component. When I put moving average on volume, I don't care. I just want what's average. So I do a simple moving average. My standard here, I'm going to go ahead and add selected. Now when I add it, it adds it as a default 9-day. I don't want a 9-day moving average. What can I do over here? I can move it down to volume or move it back up to price. I can delete it or I can change the settings. With most of these, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, oh, I don't want a 9. I want a 50. That's it. Green is fine. I don't need to change anything else. I'm going to say okay. But right now, we were going to cover, were we going to cover anything about it? Trading plan, market posture. I mean, we can look at that section for sure because that is in the realm of today's. Yeah, we can take a look at that. That's a great idea. I want 2 more of these. I'm going to make the first one 100. I can't just leave that or else I'll have 2 greens and I may not know which was 50 and which is 100. So I'm going to change this to a nice bright red pinkish color. And then I'm going to do this one. I'm going to change it to 200. And I want this one to be blue. 3 different colors. Now I have those 3. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is the next panel down is volume. Now I want simple moving average. You can see what I'm doing is I'm just typing a few letters up here. I know I want a simple moving average. If I want a MACD, I type in MACD. It doesn't eliminate everything, but it gets me down to where I only have a few things to look through and I don't have to scroll through. So I know I want a simple moving average. I go click on it. I add selected, but I don't want it here. I want to apply it to volume. Apply it to volume. I want it to be 20 days. I don't care what color it is. Okay, now you can see what did that do. Why do I prefer Expo? Remember that for price, I want it to be a little bit more responsive to more recent action, especially because I'm using a 50. With volume, I'm only using a 20. I don't care. I just have an empirical number. It's not a huge difference. I used to keep both the 50 and the 20 on for volume. It's not a big enough a difference that I'm like, I don't care, right? It's not adding enough to change one over the other. Again, you can always apply a simple and an exponential simultaneously, then watch them for a while and say, which do I like better? Scott said this, but I don't trust him. I don't trust him as far as I can spit. I mean, I hope you don't put it that way, but maybe you just put it that you want to challenge it. I don't think you have to verbalize it as you don't trust me. Either way you go, I have no problem with you challenging that and exploring it on your own in order to validate what I'm saying is visually true for you as well. Okay, so now I have my moving averages on my price. I have my moving average on my volume. Now I need some panels. My panel that I prefer is a slow stochastic. So I go slow and I add it. And you can see here it's 80, 20, 10, 10. That's not what I want. Let's start with overbought, oversold. Remember, these are just the 2 lines that run across the chart that represent overbought zone. And I choose to make mine 70, a little bigger, and 30, a little bigger. I don't need those extreme zones. And then I use a 7-3 stochastic. 7-3. Right? That's it. 7-3 slow stochastics. Okay. Last thing I need, implied volatility. I don't need to do anything to it but add it. And now I could come in here and I could say this is my default set, or this is my MWG Charts. I know how to spell charts. Don't you worry, guys. Charts. Save. Okay. Now I have everything that we're used to. Couple of things that I want to show you. First of all, I don't want price so small and these things as big as they are. I need them, but I don't need them to be big. So I can just sort of shift everything down, right? And now price is bigger. These are a little smaller. Now, if I came in and I accidentally removed all my studies, what have I done? I have to go through and do all that again? No, I can come in here and I can load my MWG charts. And just like that, they're back, but I do need to resize the panels. Resize the panels. One of the other things I can do with my charts, I can change how I can squinch it or I can spread it. The hard part with this right now, including the moving average, is what's making this feel so tight right here on Meta. It might not do it on SPY. But in order to include this, it has to give me that extra room. How did I squinch it? If you come over here and you put your mouse on these numbers, you'll notice it gives me 2 up and down arrows. If I click and drag it down, it squinches. If I drag it back up. So there might be a time where you're way up near the top and you're like, I want to see where this line goes. And you just move it down a little bit so you can see that. I invented that trick. Nobody knew that existed until I did it. Charts. All right. What do you think? I might even come in and clip like the 10 or 15 minutes spent just building the charts and then save that into its own unique video, since that was something that was requested, and add it. What do you guys think? Makes sense? That seems like it might be a good idea, and have the Market Watch Group chart set up in its own little video. All right, I need to stretch my legs, get a drink. I've been talking too long. I'm gonna give it 5 minutes though. We're gonna give it 5. So if someone comes on, if somebody comes on and they're like, why is there no sound? I hope somebody who's here will be like, we're just taking a transition break. I'm gonna stop the recording first and foremost so I can have a